I'm always intimidated by following somebody who's got 7 PhDs. So I'm very grateful to Julia for interceding between those two things. Wow, that was a pretty amazing final session. I felt like I've been speed dating with NLP. It's been great. I feel like I'm a goat in a room of tigers because this is not my this isn't my area of knowledge. I come from the markets and then have focused on sustainability. But it's been a really interesting learning for me. I'm sort of still struck as to whether there was a question asked early on about the good. It was a sort of normative question, which I still find really interesting. You know, there's been lots of things I've certainly learned about the displacement of, unnecessary human activity and, cost mitigation and so forth. But it'll be an interesting conversation, I hope, over the reception and dinner to kind of think more, more holistically about some of this stuff. Anyway, before I get off my own little tangent, which I sometimes do, it just remains for me to do a couple of things. An immense amount of effort goes into making these things happen by people who very rarely sit in the limelight. And I just do want all of us to maybe just take a moment to acknowledge that. I mean, we're incredibly grateful for you guys to, giving up a day of, you're busy people, giving up a day of your time to rock up to Oxford to do this stuff is a big ask. And I hope that you felt it's been a constructive use of time. And if you have, that's because of this immense amount of work that's going on behind the scenes. Julia's a very modest person. She won't let me give her too much credit, but she's the linchpin in all of this. But she's been backed by, obviously, colleagues at the University of Zurich who have done an amazing job, but all of the panelists who just, dug deep, given their time, got involved with the sessions, taken questions, and then, of course, everyone behind the scenes, Alex and the team up the front, people at the Smith School, people at Sustainable Finance Group, and so many others. So if you wouldn't mind, just to give a quick round of applause for all of that work. It's my happy job, and the last thing that it is my own happy job to do is to tell you about drinks. We're going to be in the Divinity School. For those of you who know Oxford, you'll know what that is, and for those of you for whom this is a first time, this building we're going to is probably one of the jewels in the crown of the university. I think it's an absolutely stunning place to go, and it's where we all go to robe and disrobe when you're getting your degrees and all of that stuff, but it's a stunning place to go and have a drink and some dinner. So just before we go over there, it's about a 10-minute walk, I guess, from here, something like that. So people will, look for somebody who looks like they know vaguely what they're doing and follow them. But just before we do that, it just remains for me to hand to Markus first, please, just to add his closing comments as well. Thank you, Markus.
Yeah, just a few last words from my side. I think it's been an amazing day. It also showcased a lot of the potential of NLP. I think at the beginning we had a very interesting question from Sylvia, who was asking, well, shouldn't we ask instead of what NLP can do for sustainable finance, what NLP can do for the world? And that didn't leave my brain, and I was thinking about it a little bit. So it's a very good question, and you have to remember that climate change is human-made, right? That's what climate scientists tell us. But it's not because we're just humans, it's because we have our economic activity. And economic activity gets coordinated in capital and financial markets. And decisions in these markets, well, you could argue in textbook economics, we learned that the market solves everything, right? But there is one critical assumption behind that, which is we need all the information available to make our decisions. And obviously, NLP can help us to make this information available so that capital markets can allocate capital at the right places so that we can eventually solve climate change. Obviously, it's not that simple because it's not just about providing information, but we need also truthful information. And again, NLP can help us to identify truthful information. And NLP can eventually decide whether the market is functioning correctly or not, or whether we need government intervention. And for that, then governmental documents become key. And again, NLP should be used to, or can be used to analyze this immense amount of documents. So therefore, I think NLP as a tool in our complex world has a very, very, very important place. And thanks to the computational power that we have available now, it becomes a tool that can be actually very effective. So these are my 5 cents or words of wisdom. I don't know whether there's a lot of wisdom behind it, and there haven't been too many words, but they have been words. They haven't been numbers or vectors that I was throwing at you. So these are real words, and looking forward to the dinner. Thank you.
So it's my honor to have now the final words, the real final words. I'm very happy, excited, and pleased to see how many people came to the symposium today to mark the launch of the Natural Language Processing for Sustainable Finance program here at the University of Oxford in collaboration with the University of Zurich. It's great to see all this interest, all the debates that we had today. They cover so many topics and disciplines. They cover so many different angles, and I think that's just an inspiring, amazing start for our program. I will not repeat, though I completely agree with all the thanks that Alex Money shared. Although I want to explicitly thank you, Alex, again for being here today and supporting us on the event. That was really highly appreciated. And I want to thank everyone, like from the workshop presenters, Matthias, Toby, and Christoph, to the panelists, to all the speakers, to the helping hands, to everyone in the background. It has been a great experience to work with all of you. It has been a really, really great and fulfilling experience to also be in touch with you all the weeks beforehand, because it just, at the one hand side, it showed there's so much that we can do, and on the other hand side, there's so many people that we can work with, and that's just great. So with that, I have been asked, what's next? And that was basically part of the concluding remarks, so what's next? We have now this program here at the University of Oxford. We will collaborate with the University of Zurich on many different angles. We will set up training courses and teaching together to basically establish the human capital that we need in order to have the humans in the loop, in order to be able to work with the tools that we have at our hands to a good end. We will continue research projects, both from a practitioner side with deployments and applications, as we have been seeing today, but also with more research-oriented, like standard academic papers that will be linked to these deployments. For example, on Chat Report, we have a pipeline of 100 things that we want and will hopefully implement there. So watch out both at chatclimate.ai, what is being deployed over the coming year or months to come, and also just check regularly what we are doing at the Oxford Sustainable Finance Group for updates. And last, what's next? I hope next is also a great pipeline of collaborations with you all to make this a truly sustainable endeavor. We are looking for collaborations of any kind, and I'm especially happy about core funding. So if you find this useful, I'm more than pleased and happy to stay in touch with all of you today. And again, thank you so much for making the way to Oxford, and thank you so much for joining for dinner and for joining the fun part.